Hello everybody and welcome back to the Library of Ruina. Alrighty, in this episode we are going to be continuing with what we've been doing and finally make some progress towards finishing every single mod on the workshop. Do you guys see something on the screen? Is that just me? Do you see that too? Hang on. No, I kind of know what that is, but is that? It is I, Evil Shadow. You look just like me though, but I'm evil. But you look just like me though. Doesn't matter. You, me, have been abusing Library of Ruina mods for too long with your OP builds and your thematic builds. Well, you are going to suffer the consequences of your own actions. You will have to face yourself. Oh, okay, I guess that's what we're doing in this episode then. So, I thought this would be a fun idea to take on our own floors using our own floors. So, basically, unfortunate individual that looks like Malkuth's page has the passive Floor of History's Librarians. At the start of the act, all units on the enemy, as in this team, not the players, team, are replaced by the librarians of the Floor of History. Which means, everything you see on the right is going to be our enemy. Now the question is, what floor do we think would go good against my Malkuth's floor? I'm gonna say Netzach. But that's going to be the theme for this entire episode. We are going to face every single one of my floors using other my floors. Does that make sense? I don't know. Either way, I think Netzach is the best fit for this. Oh my God. What is this music? That's much better. So, yeah, I can't play that song for obvious reasons, but we'll keep rolling, in case you don't know what song that is. So, let's see what ourselves have in store for us. Brace up, Death Rattle, Fiery Waltz. Oh, you fool, Gregory and Dallas. We don't have Burn yet. Blessing of the Sacred Flame coming down from Gilana, Fiery Waltz again, and Fervent Prayer. Good thing they don't know how to properly order. I am going to show all of the aiming. Sweep them all coming down from Gas Mask Dave with Trash Disposal. Wrong order, but it theoretically could work. Everyone, page is ready. By the way, I don't know this for certain, but oh boy, I sure hope that they don't get ego pages, or else this is gonna get, or abnormality pages as well, or else this is gonna get real interesting. Also, we appear to have been marked. Here we go. Good stuff. Isabel dodging Gregory and Dallas, but taking a hit from Malkuth. However, Netzach does manage to do a little bit of damage. Oh my God. And a fantastic roll from Gas Mask Dave. Unfortunately, we're not rooting for him currently. Alright, Kura takes quite a nasty hit from Malkuth. That's alright. Sam working quite well against Kilana. Ouch. Isabel taking a little bit more damage. Haha! Your ordering was bad, Dave! So you're not able to do any damage to Netzach. However, Kyle does make up the difference a little bit. A Decay Ampule going down on Gregory and Dallas. Alright, Kilana getting a lot of stagger damage on us, and actually gets value for the Fiery Waltz. Oof, that sucks. We're gonna go for Laughing Powder. We get to pick another one, so let's go for... I mean, Tentacles sounds pretty nice right about now, huh? Yeah, Tentacles does sound pretty nice. I think we're gonna do it. We're also gonna do it on Isabel. Ooh, then we get to pick another one. Token of Friendship. That way we don't die nearly as bad. We don't have Shimmering, which means we can finally get use out of DeCapo. We get to pick another one? Okay. Then I will go for Autumn's Passing on Netzach. I'm gonna go for Faint Aroma. And there we go. Emotion level 4 and Facey Randy has become a frosty, edgy boy. A bit of a messy turn awaits us, but with the amount of regen that we have and the fact that we are mass applying paralysis, I'm confident in our abilities. Especially since we actually get value out of this movement. Then we go for the second movement. And finally, the finale. Okay, one stagger going down on Gregory Adalis. Dave also becoming staggered, which means that we get to trigger a bunch of sinking on everybody else. Gregory Adalis taking no damage, but Kura trying to lock down Mr. Dave. Netzach, however, swoops in to do as much damage as physically possible, understanding that Dave is one of the scariest people on the field. However, Persistence does proc from Dave, so he isn't quite down yet. Kilana doing quite a bit of damage to Kura. Facey Randy going after Kyle and getting a stagger. Most excellent. Decay Ampule going down on Kilana because she, too, is a bit of a threat. Netzach dealing a whopping... Ooh, my goodness. Not only does he do a ton of damage, but he also takes out Gas Mask Dave since Persistence is no longer afoot. Netzach blocking everything that Malkuth does. Unfortunately, Kilana does get a hit on Isabel, but we get a stagger on Malkuth with Facey Randy. Sam dealing quite a bit of damage to Kyle and also putting down a Decay Ampule. What did I tell you, boys? Netzach's floor against Malkuth's floor is a pretty gosh darn good deal. Now, let us see what we can do. Hypothermic Death. Prepare the Decay Ampules. We need to teach this floor of fire a lesson they won't soon forget. Behold! Faint Aroma! Bing, bong, bing, bong. Tons of damage because you're all staggered. Boom. Nice. Wait for it. Now, Hypothermic Death! Now there only remains 2. And even though Gregory Adalis cannot be slain under normal circumstances because of his passive, we put enough Decay Ampules that he is already well and finished. Farewell. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hang on. As soon as Isabel's turn is over. Ah, he still has one more turn. Never mind. Gregory Adalis holds out once more. Actually, I think the Decay Ampule will immediately finish him off next turn. I believe. Does he die? No. But he will now. Goodbye, Gregory Adalis. You survived well. So, yeah. Netzach's floor? That's the choice if you want to take on my Malkuth floor. But I know what you're thinking. Who would be able to take out our Yes Odds floor? Well, well, well. Am I not glad that you asked? Because honestly, I'm not sure at a glance. Give me... let me think this out. So, Malkuth's floor would be a no-go here. We already used Net's Explorer, so we'll cross him off the list. Hod's floor would probably demolish him. Which is exactly why I'm going to bring Hod. And so we find ourselves on this stage of mimicry. You will not be tolerated here. Okay, bit of a scary turn incoming. We have Concierto being used by Not Ayan. We have the Night of Constellations being used by Yesod, and he's also using the Sync Association page, which is very scary, but we're just gonna make do. Behold! Wow, only one person blocked that. Okay. Alright. Gotta tell you, clashes, not going well. Sarah does take a fair bit of damage from Mao. However, Hod retaliates with quite a bit of damage of her own. Lift the Mountain being used. Now die. That way we get plenty of bleed on Crimson. Icebox winning the clash against Caius, while Crimson also, holy, loses that clash like crazy against Icebox. Caius, however, getting a little bit of revenge by hitting Yesod, but Crimson is not looking good. Hod getting a little bit of damage on Not Ayan, while Sarah follows it up. Impartiality going down on Not Ayan, which does boost up the next page that we use. Caius winning the clash against Yesod once again. Mal also trying to go for Sarah as well as she possibly can. And Sheeta, standing up for Hod's honor, decides to go for Yesod as well. Okay, so, wow, the amount of damage that Crimson took is certainly not okay. Upon attacking a target with bleed, deal damage and recover. We will attempt this. And I'm gonna do it on Sheeta. Then we are gonna reroll. We can't reroll. Okay, we're gonna go for a surprise gift on Sarah then. Bleed of all characters does not decay. You know what? Endless yearning. Then we can actually go for Black Swan value. Isn't that nice? Okay, to be fair, the amount of damage on Crimson was unexpected. Especially because she's supposed to be oddly tanky, but when you're fatal to all types of regular damage, that is an unfortunate side effect. A bad turn is incoming for us, but we must stand resolute. Okay, abnormal current coming down from Ingvar. Oh, yeah, that was a whole lot of damage we just took, but we're gonna be A-okay. Now, bleed is not going to be reduced, which is, a problem. One might argue it is a problem. Combined tactics going down from Hod, dealing quite a bit of damage to Icebox despite all the shielding. Need more. Getting a stagger on Ingvar, 62 damage being done, and Crimson falls along with Sheeta. Ouch. Hod also taking quite a bit of damage. Blade unlocked going down on both Hod and Icebox. Not Ayan trying to do as much damage as physically possible because he knows what is coming. And we are going to take alertness as well as... we'll go for Letitia. Then, this is where the hard part happens. Do we go for Gooey Waste? Because I gotta tell you, the debuff sounds nice. Yeah, we go for Gooey Waste. And I think we're gonna do it on Sarah. Then, we can go for Today's Expression. Sounds fun. Now behold. Huh, that's weird. The special ego music isn't playing. Huh, I wonder why that could be. It's definitely not because I'm adding the music in after the fact. Whoa. 2,000%. I think we're gonna lose Caius, and we might even lose Sarah. But we must try. AOE. It hits all but Icebox. Black Swan, dealing a crazy amount of damage. Holy. Garden of Thorns also tries to go down, but unfortunately Caius is sent to the literal W Corp Shadow Realm. Lift the Mountain would have gotten a lot more value, but Yesod lost all of his goodies. And Sarah sprouts her angelic wings. Because this, as they say, is checkmate. That one was a lot closer. I don't know where... I'm trying to think of the passives that I use. I don't know where that damage came from on Crimson. I imagine it's just because she's fatal to everything and she did not have the chance to get bleed stacks. I'm kind of thinking that's what happened. Now for the age-old question. Who will take on the floor of Hod? It's either gotta be Tifrith or Gabura. Hod's floor, as we saw, is extraordinarily dangerous, so we need to bring out a super heavy hitter. I think it's gotta be Gabura. Roberta, once again glitching out and also not hitting emotion level 3. Either way, we have prepared ourselves, and the biggest target is Sheeta. Because Sheeta is giving a whole lot of protection and stagger protection, and we don't want that. So here we go. Ouch. Evo Knight taking quite a bit of damage from Hod, but Gabura is able to retaliate before going for some damage on Caius. Roberta the Head getting guidance of the gears down and out, while Eileen wins a clash against Hod. Evo Knight winning a clash against Sarah, very good. Eileen managing to beat Crimson, who currently does not have any blood. Magical Girl of Fiction winning the clash against Caius. Fitting, considering he used to use her page. Yeah, no, Crimson just takes 1,000,000 damage. Alright. I guess that's just a thing. Okay, unfortunately, Counter Dice not quite working. Ouch! We take a ton of reflection damage on the Magical Girl of Fiction from hitting Sheeta. Yeah, the amount of spikes that they are generating is problematic. Empty Dance coming down on Caius, dealing quite a bit of damage, although we do have to be very, very worried about the amount of reflection damage we're taking. I'm really debating doing Vampirism because of the amount of bleeding that is getting done here. There is a world where we do it. I kind of think I want to go Roll of the Wolf on Eileen. Then, can we reroll? Yes, this time it allows us. Okie dokie. Claws of Savagery going down on the Magical Girl of Fiction. Mountain of Corpses could work. However, I am going to go for Laughter on Evo Knight. Then we go for Dipsia. That gives us quite a bit of healing and also a fair bit of strength. Onwards once again. Now, Roberta is about to do 1,000,000 damage. So ideally, this works out quite nicely for us. Here we go. Thought Gear, indoctrinate. You fall under the spell of smoke. Unfortunately, that did barely any damage, so other than looking impressive, it didn't do much for us. Thought Gear propagate, that way we're all dealing a little bit more damage. Void Star coming down on Sheeta just to try and reduce total health that Sheeta has. Luster getting quite a bit of value. Ouch. Gabura does take a little bit of damage. And Roberta the Head silently shows Caius the scenery of that day. Okay, Crimson getting a little bit of value. Hod, literally exploding Evo Knight. Okay. Okay. Oh, Gabura, unfortunately, not quite getting her strength, But Sheeta does go down, which means inherently everyone is now weaker. We do also manage to get a stagger on Crimson. Very, very good. Head Roberta does take a little bit of damage. A ton of counter dice being used against Gabura, unfortunately. Ruddled Welts could be good. Okay, we're going to save a little bit of our resources, but I am fairly confident that this should end the fight. Oh my, Crimson took 118 damage. Hello? Yeah, Crimson is in desperate need of, I don't know what she's in desperate need of, but yeah. The damage she's taking is absolutely insane. That should never be how much damage is being done. Let's go ahead and go for goodbye. And now we finish it off. Wait for it. Wait for it. Either you die this turn, or you die next turn. It makes no difference to me. Well, she did survive. You gotta give it to her. Sarah survived the onslaught, but unfortunately she cannot survive being split into two. Oh my god! 200 damage. Yeah, that seems... Wowza, yeah! Now, as for who is gonna be a good floor against Netzach, honestly, that's a bit of a tough one considering the mass paralysis, but you know who I think might just work? Cheesed. The key here is about DPSing everybody down before they have the chance to mass debuff and mass regen. So, we literally cannot go for Isabel at the moment, so what we're doing is we are going for the tried and true full Unity synergy, as well as Unity Fiction, which is going to be doubled because of Unity Hope, so everybody's going to be drawing 6 pages next turn, as well as every other Unity effect being doubled. So let's see how this does, shall we? The power of a gun works quite well against Kura, but Sam gets a pretty nice clash against Bang Bang. But Ivanko is not going to stand idly by while that happens. Grapes winning the clash against Sam, while Angela gets a crap ton of damage. Bang Bang not quite winning the clash against Facey Randy, but absolutely demolishing Kura. Poor man. Grapes on Vine tries to finish him off, but it isn't quite enough. Facey Randy managing to get a little bit of a hit while Netzach rolls all but a maximum attack. Ivanko does not want to see his friends go down, so he goes all in for damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out, but Cozy decides that it's his time to shine as he manages to get a fair bit of stagger damage, and he basically regens straight back to full. Angela goes for Renga Smithing because it's good value. Grapes manages to get through all the counter dice of Facey Randy before Cozy manages to get a stagger just as his star would want. Ivanko just barely doesn't manage to get a stagger on Facey Randy. We're going to go for Courage on Angela. We're then going to go for Cartier on Bang Bang. We'll go a road walk together on Ivanko. I mean, the harvest seems like a pretty good choice to me. We still can't hit you, which I don't like. I don't love that. But we'll be able to deal with you soon. Now, I believe we will be able to hit her once there are no more allies for her to redirect to. And in a show of absolute force, they fall. Oh boy, that's a whole lot of stagger damage. Okay, we do manage to survive. A bow to the face staggers Facey Randy, as I'm sure it would most people. A gun doesn't actually work on Sam, who I guess has a bulletproof vest on, but she didn't have a sword-proof vest on, as Ivanko manages to take out Kura. Grapes on Vine, dealing quite a bit of damage to Facey Randy. Bong Bong decides that Sam has it too good, and all but wipes her out except for 1 damage. Angela managing to face off Facey Randy. Sam's passive does manage to go through. Unity Happiness is going to ensure that we all have light to use. Oh, yes. Then, we'll go for home, because why not? Faded Memories, because it helps us out. And, yeah, poor Sam is about to get absolutely just destroyed. There's no chance that Sam walks out of this alive. I'm really tempted to go for Faded Memories as well, but tell you what, if Sam does not go down, the harvest will ensure she does. Wow, that actually was barely any damage. Oof, Bong Bong actually gets staggered, unfortunately for us. Okay, a little bit of Decay Ampule going down. Unfortunately, I might have overestimated our power a little bit. Yeet. Yeah, it seems so. Unfortunately, it appears that I've overestimated our capabilities by just a tinge. So, let's ensure she goes down this time. Faded Memories. Bong. A-bing. And finally, the harvest. Now it is only Isabel and a barrage of forces you cannot possibly endure. Yeah, Isabel is completely dead. Behold! Innocenza! Aerial combos appear to be our specialty. Right, Isabel can't technically be staggered. Luckily, she did go after the single person who was only using 1 page. Unity Monster! Dealing quite a bit of damage, and with a swift offense, that brings you directly into our line of fire. Farewell. Very nice. We managed to win against our own floor. Oh boy. This one's probably going to be a little bit brutal, huh? Debatably the 2 strongest floors that we have now clash. Behold! Ow. Well, that hit 3 of us. That is unfortunate. Rengar motion, unfortunately not doing very much of anything, but Seven of the Night Sky does do a fairly good amount of damage to Lily. Kinsey also getting a decently nice hit and deciding to go for the heal, which, you know, also does give them a little bit of value as well, but that's fine. Tifrith ends up hitting the Book Hunter for quite a bit of damage, which is certainly going to reduce the costs of all her pages. Oh, yeah, that is some stagger damage. Censored coming down from Aeon. Snake Slit going down onto Soul Song from Vera. Okay, a little bit of knowledge for the Book Hunter. Amaterasu, unfortunately, or fortunately, losing most of those clashes. Snake Slit going down on Tifrith, but it's still not enough. Crime going down just to recover a little bit more health. Dame Dame coming down from Sosa onto Aeon. I don't want to give them candy because they have way too many ways to buff. So let's do a bubble. Then we will go for Dash on Dark Carmen. Now the fun part.
Forbidden fruit.
Repetitive pattern recognition on Dark Carmen. Ooh. You know what? Blades Wetted by Tear Stones on Book Hunter is actually really, really good. Hopelessness. Well, we could do that, but I think I'm going to go for Claws of Savagery on Ayan. Then it's time to re-roll just a little bit. Glitter could work. I'm going to opt not to do that. Rhythm could be nice. Nah.
Courage.
Going down onto Sally. Then if we can get the slashy slashy, that's going to go down onto Vera. Then let's go for Ecstasy. Then Reincarnation could be a good choice. You know what? Actually, Reincarnation on Sally, pretty good option. Burden Sins, also a fairly good option. Wait, we get to pick this for Lily? Oh, that sucks. Oh! Wait a minute! Hey, Lily, do you want this one? Oh, that is so cheesy. Oh my goodness, that is so cheesy. Wow, that is like borderline unfair is what that one was. Well, we get to kill Lily for free. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm pretty sure something bugged because both Sally and Book Hunter are staggered. Probably because we made Lily destroy herself. That, probably has something to do with it. Tiferet is the only one to block the baboosh. Oh my, Amaterasu managing to hold in there for quite some time against Dark Carmen. Long enough for it to be annoying for us. Ouch. Quite a bit of damage coming down on Dark Carmen from Tiferet. Ayan goes for the bubble on... that was Sosa. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out. Oh my! Tiferet manages to actually outclash Vera, who had like +7 power or something insane. Oh, that leads to our passive being procced, which is extraordinarily unfortunate. Kinsey is also now courageous because she lost too many clashes. Ow. Well, that's not good for us at all. Also, why were we double staggered? Yeah, something odd happened there. Oh, well, would you look at that? We appear to have an enemy censored effect on us. Ooh, that's lovely.
This is the part where we lose people. Bravery to stand against whatever.
Big AoE damage coming down from Kinsey. Unfortunately, getting 2 kills, almost a third.
Yeah, that's painful.
Ouch. Okay, Dark Carmen barely managing to hold in there. We are getting a little bit of stagger back with every successful attack we land. Okay, Soothing Memory is going to heal us up a little bit regardless of Clash wins. Sally unfortunately goes down before she's really able to do much of anything, which is unfortunate because Sally actually has quite a powerful deck. Ayan is still alive and Dark Carmen is still alive, so therefore we go for Light of Redemption. I'm also going to go for Ending because that's what it might come down to. Oh boy. I think we all knew that this was gonna be a tricky one.
Let it be known that this damage is for you.
Behold, Ecstasy! It only lands on Sosa and literally nobody else. Very unfortunate. Oh. Ending. It does not land on Tiferet, despite the incredible amount of power that it has.
Argalia Furioso!
Coming down onto Tiferet because she is absolutely one of, if not, the biggest threats. 22 whole damage being done, but we did focus fire on Tifrith for a reason. And luckily for us, it ended up working out. Tifrith is close to being cut down, but she still has quite a bit of health to go, and of course Solsa and Kinsey are still dangerous, so we can't underestimate them. Whew. Okay, percent health damage being done. Even if you inflict erosion, we are going to turn that into a buff on Aeon, which is very, very good for us. Aeon is untargetable for this scene, which honestly, that's not the worst thing in the world, actually. Yeah.
Sorcerer, you must fall.
Also, we're going to try and protect Dark Carmen just a little bit. Behold, Curtain's Call. We only hit 2 out of 3. Okay, Flashing Claw gets close to 0 value. Regenerator does help us recover a little bit of health. However, we now have Erosion on us, but Crime does help out a little bit. Ugh. Unfortunately, we do become staggered on Carmen, and it looks like that's all she wrote. Well, luckily we still have a little bit of crime to do, so we do recover a tiny bit of health. This is getting down to the wire, so I'm going to go for ending. Ideally that hits. Yes, good. Counter dice, counter dice. Okay, you know what? I think that's game. Boy, this was the closest one yet. Our absolute top 2 powerhouses clashing. And honestly, if it wasn't for Aeon giving everybody an extra ego page, that was curtains for us. Of course, there was only ever one option to go against Geburah. Come on, we all saw it coming. Of course, one might expect that Geburah's floor is going to do insane amounts of damage. But here's the thing.
You cannot do damage if you are locked down.
Begin! Pillar! Onto Eileen, because she is absolutely the highest source of smoke that this floor has. Holy, none of our clashes went well against Eileen. Bad start. However, we do lock down Geburah because, as you see, she's going to be doing quite a bit of damage as well. Unfortunately, Marcos Jr. does take a little bit of damage from Geburah. Evo Knight clashing with Sombor. Unfortunately, that clash really did not go well for us. In fact, most of these clashes are not going well. And Roberta also does a little bit of damage to Bina, who is on critically low health. Yukari, despite having a ton of extra power, doesn't even come close to clashing with Geburah. Instinct release from Marcos Jr. is going to heal up our floor a little bit. Book of Light, just so we can get ourselves up and going on Azazel. Okay, Bina barely holds in there. Marcos Jr. getting us quite a bit of extra healing, as well as staggering the Magical Girl of Fiction, which is an insanely useful thing to have happen. Also, poor Sombor did not win a single clash against those counter dice, which sucks real bad. Okay, so Apocalypse Bird is probably not an option here, right? We can all agree on that? Okay, well, that being said, I guess we're just gonna buff up Sombor with Apocalypse Bird anyway. Especially because we actually get to use quite a few of them straight away. I am gonna go for Small Beak as well, so Sombor already has all 3 eggs. He just needs the final page. These are definitely not the ego pages that I wanted, so we will take Apocalypse, because we'll get the most value out of it. Sombor summons a snowstorm to buff himself. Yeah, we're definitely not in a good situation here. Eileen goes for Thought Gear Indoctrinate. We can partially block that. Apocalypse would also be a fairly good choice right now. So let's go ahead and go for Kai and Gerda. Then, Overwhelming Momentum. I don't know what tells me we're being targeted by 3 or more people on Sombor, but it sure, it sounds kind of useful right about now. Chances are, we might lose someone this turn. However, we have a couple aces up our own sleeve. Marcos Jr. is going to be getting an insane amount of group healing, and provided we all survive, we should be fine. After all,
We seal them.
good stuff. Either way, they're going to be debuffed next turn. All but Azazel manages to block the first Thought Gear, but the second Thought Gear unfortunately does hit a majority of our floor, except for Yukari. Wow, Bina just flat died from that, and Azazel was very close behind. Overwhelming Momentum is going to prove to be exceptionally useful on Sombor, as we see. A ton of healing coming down from Marcos Jr. Blood of Mercy, not even coming close to winning that clash. Uncontrollable Pulsation from Yukari onto Eileen, though, recovers quite a bit of health for us, as well as doing quite a bit of damage to her. Magical Girl of Fiction is almost down. And Marcos Jr. finishes her off. For there can only be one true Magical Girl here. Also, Sombor taking an extreme amount of damage from Evo Knight there, and Azazel, unfortunately, is not able to pull off his big, nasty combo. We do end up getting a stagger on Eileen, and she survives with a whopping 2 health. Decent damage coming down onto Gebura. We are all emotion level 5, so tell you what. Tilted Scale on Marcos Jr. We didn't roll it again. Let's go for Justitia. And finally,
The Beast.
then, in the middle of all the chaotic cries, someone shouted, "It's a beast! A big scary monster lives in the dusky forest!" And Lamp is brought to us as well. Sombor, it's your time to shine.
Show them what a real monster looks like.
Behold, true,
Refined terror. Now, die.
yum 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 yum. Okay, ton of healing, ton of damage coming down from Yukari. Evo Knight, Roberta, and Gebura are all still standing, but that's fine. Apocalypse. Pretty fair damage. We do manage to get 2 staggers off that, which is always pleasant. Behold. Gebura left with only 7 health. Marcos Jr. getting quite a bit of healing as well because of both the clashes and all of our passives.
And Frost Sword.
Almost taking out Roberta. Luckily, Marcos Jr. following it up with even more healing. Multi-slash. It doesn't do much damage, but it sure does trigger all of our passives. And most of us are back to full health.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it looks like, to me, the cycle repeats itself evermore.
We're gonna go for Kai and Gerda, and we finish it off with the Clash of Blades. Donk. Boy, am I glad that the enemy versions of our floors don't quite know how to use their combos, because if they did, well, we'd be dead. Next up on our self-fulfilling quest to defeat all of ourselves, it's time for Not Cheesed. And you know what the perfect counter to pure teamwork is? Pure single-mindedness. The time has come. We know that they are focused on soul unity, but we are focused on a soul message. By the way, Cheesed's floor is one of the... I say this loosely. The only floors I have that, even if you don't have any abnormality pages, Works totally fine. And we're about to see that in full, just abs. It's gonna be bad. Honestly, this one might take us a few attempts. Either way, here we go. Ugh. We do take a little bit of damage on Abby from Angela Cheesed. Caden Ryder doing a bit of damage to Cozy. We do also take a little bit of damage. Grapes doing damage to Annabelle, but that's fine. We managed to block Ivanko with our version of Angela because there's 2 Angelas on the field. Okay, we do end up winning the clash against Bon with Dietrich Floyd. Abby, unfortunately, getting taken for a ride by Ivanko, but Caden is not going to stand for it and ends up winning a couple clashes while Dietrich Floyd also goes for Bing Bong. Oh boy, somebody's been playing too much Peak. Annabelle, unfortunately, not winning too many clashes against Cheese to Angela. Grapes, ooh, getting quite a bit of damage. Goodness. Clash of Blades going down from Abby, which is going to stack up provided this fight actually lasts long enough. Our Angela gets a fair bit of damage on Grapes. Rooster's Crow coming out a little bit late, but that's fine. What do we think? Should we just re-roll like crazy? Nah, we'll go Gaze of Others. Now we re-roll. Wait for it. Wait for it. Aha! Baptism. Then we go for a Confession. Less stagger damage. Penteans. Advent, always good. Always a good choice. Then, obviously, Paradise Lost. And since we don't have Giga White Knight, we actually just get to choose one of these. Let's see. This will... we mark it? 2 stagger fragile. Let's do Perfect Meal. Perfect Meal will probably work out pretty good. Barley Hill, unfortunately, can't see what it does, but we're just gonna go full food chain. And then we will do... Doubt. Nothing wrong with a little bit of doubting. And of course, because it's funny,
the Helix of the End.
I love Helix of the End. I know it's definitely not the best choice, but man, is it fun to use. That being said, we get to go for an almost completely free round of Baptism, only spending 3 light. That's pretty solid. And everybody has so much enduring that ideally we should be okay. Full protection mode is engaged. Here we go! Gear Wheel, because we don't care about the damage or winning the clashes because it only helps us out. Advent working out quite well. Gear Wheel getting rolled 3 times, which means we get maximum benefit once again. Gear Wheel.
You may attack us, but it doesn't matter.
Donkey's Braid, just to give us a little bit of extra endurance. Unfortunately, Dietrich Floyd does not end up winning the clash against Ivanko, but we have so much protection that she is totally fine. Okay, quite a bit of damage coming down on Angela. That is regrettable, but not the worst. Cheesed Angela getting a fair bit of damage on Dietrich Floyd. Grapes losing the clash and taking big damage. Ooh, we got his Quiploth counter all the way to 0. Nice. Okay, Clash Blades coming down from Abby onto Other Cheese. Good stuff, good stuff. Advent coming down from our Angela. Okay, Lean Bloody Wings getting a little bit of damage on Ivanko. Grapes almost getting staggered. Unity Strategize does end up hitting fairly hard. However, we do end up getting the stagger as well as a bit more protection for us to use. Counter dice from Abby, unfortunately, getting absolutely no value. Unit Strike going down on Abby as well, which is going to get a little bit of healing. Lean Bloody Wings coming down on Grapes once again. Now...
Apostles.
We're not there yet, but we're about to be. And we also take a sound of a star.
Have I not chosen you 12? Yet one of you are the devil.
So, sincere baptism, right? Oh. If everybody can survive for this turn, we're gonna be in a fantastic position next turn. Issue, we have to survive this turn. So here we go. Mass AoE being used. Rebellious War! Oh my, poor Grapes just took 78 damage. Annabelle getting a fair bit of AoE as well as a heal. Divinatory Impact from our Angela takes out the cheesed Angela. Okay, only 32 damage. That actually could have been significantly worse because Bong Bong hits like a truck. So I'll take 32 damage, all things considered. Unity! Courage coming down from Ivanko onto Caden. But Caden gets a little bit of revenge on Cozy of all people. Our Angela is playing the defensive game, and so far she is also winning. Cozy trying and failing to get some damage on Dietrich Floyd. And the time has come.
The White Knight shall rise.
We're gonna play this round extremely dumb because I want to do it. So, time to get some big value. We're gonna hope that our protection is able to carry us through this round because, yeah, this is not a smart idea that we're doing, but trust you me, it'll be fun if it gets pulled off. Ow. And a little bit of damage going down on Caden. Ooh, Ivanko actually getting quite a bit of damage onto Abby. Okay, free Donkey's Bray being used from our Angela. Unity Bolster getting a little bit of damage on Caden. Dude, I'll tell you what, Ivanko does some damage. Unfortunately for you, Ivanko, it is far too late.
Behold.
Vengeance! Well, it didn't hit Bong Bong, which is unfortunate. However, you are the final one standing. The fact that this doesn't have any sound effects is really not amazing. Ouch! Why do Focus Fire Abby? Oh, how dare you index me? Where's my White Knight? Where's my White Knight? Is that so? Really? Is that what you're gonna do? Really? You think I'm just gonna let you walk away after that? No, 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 no. That's not how this works. Now, die. The best part is we would have all survived that laser. Quickly following behind that, it's time for one of the scary ones. And who, pray tell, do we think is going to do well against Bina? Well, someone who knows a thing or two about knowing a thing or two. So, this is actually fight number 2 of this fight because my initial attempt didn't record, so yippee. However, things to note that I noticed the first time as well. Number 1, Yukari is completely cheating because she's full health. She's not supposed to be. Also, Bina, both times now, is opening up with Degraded Seal, which is just disgusting. High priority target, Marcos Jr., then Bina, then Yukari, and then I'm gonna say Sombor. I think Azazel is the least threatening, but that doesn't mean that he can't still do damage. So here we go. Bad turn 1 incoming. Ouch! All of us will be locked down. Proximity shots going down against Bina. It does end up winning the clash. However, Icebox is only going to have a single action next turn. Electrifying blow. That way we're able to get a little bit of charge. Defense to offense. Unfortunately, doesn't really stop any of Marcos Jr.'s attacks, but that's fine. Blood of mercy. Coming down from Yukari, but because she's full health, she doesn't really get too much value out of it. Donkey's Bray is going to buff up everybody. Canine's Growl is going to reduce a little bit of damage from Azazel. If nothing else, it prevents Oblivion from being put on us. Unsettling Desire. Okay, Crossblade mainly to buff up our allies. Azazel getting a relatively good hit, while Yesod recovers a lot of his stats against Marcos Jr. Now, Lament is going to have permanent value. I'm going to go for repetitive pattern recognition. Then, I think Clean is a good option, and I'm going to do it on Yesod. You know what? I'm going to reroll. I'm going to reroll again. Alright, there we go. So, name of the game against Bina's floor. AOE. The more healing that we can reduce from Marcos Jr., the better. Because Marcos Jr. specializes in healing one person at a time, while providing drip healing to everybody else. So, if everybody's injured, he can't focus just the one. She is going for Degraded Seal again. That is cheating, but oh well. We're gonna go for Chorus because it will be used regardless. Then I'm gonna go for Wind of the Leave, sorry, against Marcos Jr. because we gotta get him down as soon as possible. Now, unfortunately for us, because we are so mass locked down, this is going to be a bad turn. We do have quite a bit of AoE going down, but it might not come in time. Degraded Seal from Bina rolls max, so unfortunately Icebox doesn't even block it. That is completely cheating. You should not be able to use Everlasting Thirst yet. You haven't healed anything. Okay, Yukari literally ignores the mechanic of Everlasting Thirst, which gives her a kill and a stagger. And never mind, 2 kills. Okay, so Yukari both times has completely cheated. Good, good. We like that. Marcos Jr. getting a little bit of healing for our enemies, but Yesod does quite a bit of damage in return. However, Sombor isn't going to take that standing lightly as he gets a stagger. Confrontation going down against Azazel. Unfortunately, it does not do a whole heck of a lot. And with them ganging up on Icebox, he does, unfortunately, get staggered. Marcos Jr. could care less about being attacked. Yikes. And that is pretty much, as they say, that. Okay. Look at that, brother. So Yukari is 200,000% cheating. You look at it, literally, the page's cost is reduced by 1 for every 15 health recovered. Even with Marcos Jr.'s healing, you cannot use that in your first turn. You are such a cheater, bro. You are such a cheater. Well, let's just do as much damage as we can, but unfortunately, This has been the outcome both times. So, if it worked how it was supposed to, and we all started at emotion level 1, Yesod's floor wins this hands down. However, with 2 people on Bina's floor cheating, which honestly makes sense, combined with the fact that they're able to use all of their AoEs immediately, unfortunately, poor Yesod might just be the only floor who loses his matchup. But following that, who will dare take on Floor of Hakma? None other than Malkuth's floor, of course.
You really gotta ask yourself the question, what burns brighter? Fervent adoration or fervent passion? Let's find out.
Opening ceremony coming down from Dave against Abby. Okay, a little bit of a bad start for us so far. Are you serious? The counter dice rolled max, which did prevent our shockwave from hitting. Death Rattle not doing anything from Gregory Adalis. Okay, Dave getting his costs reduced, which is going to help us quite a bit. Gregory Adalis already becoming staggered. Okay, Chiwen spreading a little bit of burn while also giving us a little bit of burn protection. Fervent Prayer coming down so that we spend a little bit of our burn while also spreading it. Okay, Lean Bloody Wings also getting a damage proc. Now, how much health does Malkuth have? Not enough for me to be feeling good about it, but we're gonna buffer up. Now, let's go for... yeah, I'm gonna reroll.
There it is.
More stagger recovery. We like that. Malkuth, you're buffed up. Let's go for 4th Match Flame because it's overall just a good choice. Do you get the special ego pages? Well, I can't click you, so I guess we just won't find out. I don't think so. The damage must be spread. We're never going to do any regular damage, so we simply must burn.
Incinerated impact going down on
Caden Ryder. Unfortunately, Gregory Adalis is taking quite a bit of damage. Dave, oh, gets staggered before he's able to use Trash Disposal, which really sucks. Also, our nerfed version of Shockwave is just letting me down at every turn.
Disarray.
Spreading some burn, Lean Bloody Wings coming down from Caden, triggering Gregory Adalis' passive, which does suck. Dave also dies twice in one turn because Persistence did proc, so that sucks. I'm totally fine with them focus firing Gregory Adalis, because at the moment it isn't really going to do a whole heck of a lot. Recapture the area, that way we get all of our light. It also activates our blade unlocked. I'm going to reroll. I know there's another one. I know there's a different page. I know there... okay, fine. Well. And then is heard no more. Why not? And we'll do that on Gregory Adalis. I will also go for Icarus's Flight, because that should be relatively juicy. Well. Name of the game. Big AOE. Here we go. This is what makes it or breaks it. Also, Gregory Adalis did have to use random pages because he cannot see what he has. So here we go. AOE. Okay, 2 very big blocks. Caden blocking another big AOE. Malkuth, I'm so sorry. Kilana distorting reality itself to land a devastating blow. Unfortunately, Kyle does end up getting staggered. He is going to spread quite a bit of burn, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Blazing strike from Malkuth going down on Abby. Gregory Adalis is staggered once again. Okay, Kyle does take a little bit of damage, but that's fine. He does also give some burn. Fervent Prayer, unfortunately, not getting the value that I would have wanted. Also, that was my Discord notification, not yours. Kilana immediately dies to burn. And, well, it appears as though we are in a bad state. Unfortunately, our burn damage was just not quite enough. Unfortunate, but to be fair, it does make a lot of sense. Our lower level floors just don't quite compete against our higher level floors. As sad as it is, it does make sense. We are going to go for Star of Morning in an attempt to win, as well as Icarus. We'll also go for Inconsolable Grief, because why not? Now, if we recovered from Stagger, oh buddy, would they be in for a world of hurt. Unfortunately for us, we ran out of life a little too fast. Our passion burned out before their faith. And, of course, it only makes sense that there's only one floor that can handle the floor of Ronald. And it's Tivereth. And so we begin the Clash of the Titans from the other side of the coin. Arcana Slave! Okay, we do hit 4 out of 5, followed by a 5 out of 5. Oof, our counter dice, unfortunately, do not quite work against Dark Carmen, who ends up getting a hit anyway. If Kinsey loses all these clashes, that's actually totally fine with me, because that works us towards Courageous. Stab, unfortunately not quite working against Angelica, at least not the first one. Okay, tiny bit of damage coming down from Kinsey. Sally stacking up Clash of Blades because she is a late game champ. However, Amaterasu does not mind losing clashes, for it only empowers him to do so. Vertical Slash coming down on Ronald, which does enough damage for us to get the cost reduction. Counter dice from Dark Carmen, unfortunately, does end up winning 2 out of 3. Thanatos Mark going down on her, so she is going to take 50% more damage, I believe. Horizontal Cut going down on the Book Hunter, unfortunately not getting a stagger. Amaterasu getting hit by a mega hit. I'm gonna go for Magnificent Shine because we need the light and draw. Let's go for Blessing on Sosa. Then we go for not Despair. I'm gonna reroll. I'm gonna reroll again. Okay, freaking Blades Wedded by Teardrops. Then let's go ahead and go for Road to Happiness on Amaterasu, followed by Fiction. For this scene, we are absolutely focus firing Dark Carmen because she is by far the scariest. And not only is she using Degraded Serum K, which is going to restore a little bit of health, she's manifesting her ego, which we cannot let go off. So we're going to try and prevent that. First, Fiction. Okay, the bravery to stand against the darkness or something. It gets a tiny bit of value. We do end up staggering Book Hunter. Hope going down for a little bit more damage, as well as buffing up our buddies. Okay, Dark Carmen goes to full stagger resist, but that's fine. If we can just stagger / kill her, that'll be ideal. Counter dice not quite working against Ronald, but that's okay. Angelica getting a lot of damage on Lily, which is certainly not okay. Vertical slash is gonna do pretty well.
Face yourself.
Being used against Sally, which honestly, pretty fitting if you ask me. Percent health damage being used against Dark Carmen, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. Second Clash of Blades is going to get the stagger on Amaterasu. Ooh, but we also do get a max health damage proc on Dark Carmen. She is extraordinarily low health. We become courageous on Kinsey, which hopefully we get to make use out of next turn. Lily, unfortunately, does go down. Sosa ends up getting a stagger with multi-slash, which is also going to get quite a bit of our resources back to us. Magnificent Shine, level 2 coming down. We could go for Fiction. I'm going to go for Companion on Kinsey. Then we go for Hope. Ooh, it's not good. I was going to use Hope. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the play. So let's go for Acidic Sludge to try and creep out a little victory here. I think we just have to go for Mass AoE, because this is a scary turn. Unfortunately, the only one who can use that Mass AoE is going to be Sosa. So, let's go ahead and use it on all of the blanks. And then, boy oh boy, do I hope that this was gonna be enough.
Onwards we go in the final fight that we shall see.
Fiction! Wow! Pretty good AoE damage. Unfortunately, does not hit Mr. Rolando or Angelica. By the way, Angelica is sitting very pretty at full health, and so is Roland. Okay, Sosa does take a little bit of damage. Tifrith ends up winning that clash. Hope! Does not take out Sally, but it was close. Courageous Blow going down on Roland, which does get us a stagger. Sally is going to die to Erosion. Okay, Horizontal Cut, getting absolute giga value from Angelica because of all that erosion that we are doing. Okay, Angelica's almost down. Oh my god! And Roland also dies to erosion. Issue, Hope was not an AoE attack like I thought it was. Not good. Really not good. Alright, regardless of whatever happens this turn, next turn is the final one. Kinsey unfortunately does get staggered to the mass attack, which opens her up for a ton of damage from Dark Carmen. Book Hunter, however, just barely misses a stagger, but Dark Carmen does not miss her attack.
Yet goes down regardless.
Salsa with the Sanity proc is doing relatively well. Angelica going down despite being empowered by Roland falling first. And Book Hunter's passive has procced. Which means, despite it all, we have... Oh boy, that's gonna kill us immediately, isn't it? I'm gonna go for Face Yourself. Ooh, Sosa lived! And you did not. That's so funny to me that my absolute two best floors were able to defeat each other in opposite scenarios. Now, I know what you're thinking. I technically used a different version of the floor of General Works when going against it. Now, my reason for that is because I believe, without ego, Roland's version is much stronger than Aen's version. Aen's version is obviously 20 times better when it has access to ego. When it doesn't, I think Roland's version is much better, especially because him and Angelica synergize. There is the very real potential for 4 Furiosos going down. Book Hunter has the opportunity to stack up her finale style. Sally has the opportunity to stack up all of her stats. Like, I think this is just the better version when there's no ego. But either way, I thought this was going to be a bit of a fun episode, and hey, turns out it was. However, poor Malkith and Yesod, I need to do something with their builds, because it's like, I have a vision of what I want them to do, but it just doesn't quite feel like it's working out, and I honestly feel like that has been, that's been happening a lot. Poor freaking Yesod and Malkith's floor are just so weak compared to every other floor. And I don't even think that the builds are bad. I think they just maybe there needs to be a little bit more team synergy. Maybe I don't fully understand how Sincerity Burn works. I don't know. Because Kelana literally nuking herself is not good. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.